Hey there. I'm popping in today to talk to you guys about how to create consistent content without being on social media 24/7. So, one of the biggest struggles that I hear a lot of my clients go through is saying that it's really hard for them to be consistent on social media and consistently be putting out valuable content for their audience. How many of you guys feel like this way? I know that when I first started, I felt the same exact way. So, if you're trying to think of new ideas every single day, of course it's going to be hard, right? It can actually be completely energy draining and you probably don't have the time for it. So as a business owner myself and a coach, I personally don't have the time to be on social media 24/7. You know, it may seem to be like that, right? I mean, it may seem like it, but if I were to be on social media all the time, I wouldn't be able to get much stuff done. How many of you guys feel me on that? Like, you don't want to be on your phones 24/7. So instead, here are 3 tips that I personally do so that I'm not only consistent with my content and don't have to come up with new content each and every single day, but I just feel like a rock is lifted off me. I don't have to be thinking about things. Everything is automated. This is what I do. I batch create everything, right? My photos, my videos, and even my Instagram stories, they're all batched. All right, you guys ready for tip number 1? So tip number 1 is take one day out of the month to do a photo shoot with your photographer. Now, if you don't have a photographer, you can always ask, let's say a friend, your partner, whatever the case may be, right? And make sure you plan everything. Luck is literally what happens when preparation meets opportunity. That's a quote, you guys. So I personally post, let's say 3 times a week right now on Instagram, right? So 4 of those times are video. So that means if I do all the math, I just need 8 photos of me each month. So what I do is that I go on Pinterest, right? I find inspiration on there. I literally save all the photos, print it out, and I share that with my photographer. Another thing I do is that I plan the location and make sure that everything is within walking distance, right? You literally have this person, let's say for 2 hours, especially if you're paying for a photographer, you wanna make sure that you're maximizing your time with them, right? So bring different outfit changes, change up your hair, put different makeup on if you're a woman or a man. But number 2, my second tip is that take another day to actually shoot all your videos for an entire month. So right now, let's just say that I'm going to be putting out 1 video per week, right? So that means that I'll be creating 4 videos in 1 day. And depending if you are, let's just say, a better speaker or a writer, you can also just use a teleprompter to give you a helping hand, right? So let's say you're a better writer. You can just write everything out and put it in a teleprompter. The app that I use is something called BigView, BIGVU. You can download that off the iTunes store or the App Store, okay? So remember, it's so much easier to be in flow instead of switching your energy and operating from, let's say, CEO and content creator, right? So after you shoot all your videos, you're gonna transcribe everything using rev.com. And what I like to do is that I like to transcribe it and reuse that same content and just kind of spread it out within my different written posts, okay? The third thing is that I batch create my Instagram stories. So you may be thinking, how do you do that? Well, if you still want to be relevant on stories, which you should, what I like to do is batch create my stories. Now, the one major thing that helped me in terms of creating content is actually changing my mindset from creating to documenting. So instead of feeling pressure to create, I think of just documenting everything that's going on in my life. So today, actually, a client asked me this, literally, she asked me, you know what, I need help coming up with what to say on my stories, Kristen, I need some help. So first advice I would like to say is that make sure that everything you're talking about relates back to your 3 pillars you have in your business, right? So the 3 pillars are the 3 things that make up your brand, right? The 3 things that you focus on, and that's the reason why people follow you, right? So if you don't have 3 pillars in your business, think of those 3 pillars. So I'll give you an example of my brand, right? So my 3 pillars are Chinese metaphysics, business strategy, and mindset. So those are my 3 pillars, and those are the 3 things that I'm consistently always talking about. So that means that everything I talk about in my stories or in my posts relates back to at least one of those pillars, or if not all three of them simultaneously, right? So instead of posting my story live, what I do is that I literally save it and post several stories back to back at given times of the day, right? So for me, it's about 3 times a day, because that's when I check up on my clients. I check up on them 3 times a day. And while I do that, I also post my stories. So the reason why I do this is so that I'm not spending all of my time on Instagram, but I'm still relevant on Instagram, right? Like I'm still popping up, on the feed or on Instagram. So that way people are still seeing me. So hopefully, right, these 3 tips were helpful for you. And you don't have to really worry too much about creating consistent content anymore, right? So if you guys have any questions on this, feel free to leave me a comment below. If you want to see more videos like these, also let me know. And one last thing I would like to say too is that every Friday I do feng shui forecasting on my platforms, whether on Instagram or Facebook. So make sure that you pop in. It's 11:30 a.m. PST every Friday. So if you need some help or some extra guidance with your life or with your business and you want me to forecast your answer, make sure to hop on Fridays at 11:30 a.m. PST. So I'll talk to you guys later, and hopefully this video was helpful for you.